and welcome to another episode of SHU Doing. I'm your host, Burrell, alongside my co-host, Paul Guarino.
What's up, everybody?
We are joined by the one, the only, Carlton Best.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Carlton?
What's going on?
Glad to have you on here. This is it's exciting because we don't often get to have guests who I graduated at SCM with as well. So this is a special moment.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's great to be here.
No, so let's start. Why Sacred Heart for you?
Hey, it's a complicated answer, I'll tell you. I heard the commercial on the radio,
Really?
which I'll shout out Miller, whoever did that. I was like driving in my car looking for a career change.
Wow.
And then I heard it on the radio. So
Yeah.
I applied, and I applied so late that I got waitlisted for Paul's class.
Wow.
And then the next year, I got the letter in the mail that's like, hey, you're accepted. And I was like, oh, yeah. I forgot. So I got the thing. I'm like, hey, we're doing this. And I didn't have much kind of going on professionally. I was in between. And I was like, what am I going to do? And I always wanted to do sports. And it was, I was living down in Stanford. So it made sense.
Awesome. Damn.
Yeah, that's the story.
That is crazy. I mean, that's crazy that it was a radio ad, though.
Yeah, right? No. And
You
that's
don't really think of that, like, now.
100%. Like, it was terrestrial radio. Like, I heard it on, like, I was driving and I heard it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And now we were second
What you
class
doing?
of SCM.
Driving.
Yeah. Driving and listening, watching the road.
We talk about because Paul's class they were the very first ones. He jokes that they were the guinea pig class. We were the first full class in this building.
100%.
Yeah.
And I'm very grateful that I was lazy and
That's
got
why-
waitlisted.
That's why he was telling me off camera that he just said he was late to applying, so like it almost worked out in your favor anyways.
Totally.
Yeah. I mean, think about when we go back to think about all the things that we did in our year of SCM. What stands out to you?
I think it was being in here on Sunday mornings. Like, some of us used to come in here and just do our own show. It wasn't anything that the professors had us do or that it was part of the curriculum or class. Some of the guys we came here Sunday mornings. It was the only time we could get, I think, for the student. Because
it was very tough. I don't know if it's like that for them now, but it was very tough to find time.
100%, right? So they're like, oh, you can come in Sunday morning at from 9 to 12. I think it was like SCM brunch or something we called it.
Yes. Wow. These are throwbacks. Yes, I'm remembering this.
Yeah.
Continue, please.
So, and radio was something that's what I liked. When I was a kid, I used to, record myself on the cassette player and be like, I'm going to be on radio and do, I'm going to be a DJ.
Yeah.
And that never obviously didn't materialize, right? But to get that, to scratch that itch when I came here and do that just for fun, those are the memories that I have that were the best memories of doing that on Sunday mornings with the guys and just talking about whatever. And we tried to be real with it. We made rundowns and we had different blocks and guys talked about the things that they were passionate about.
Yeah.
And I think that made people be more engaged.
I feel like you guys were the first ones to have like a weekly radio show where you were doing stuff like that. Because I remember later on in SCM we had to do the course where with Professor Paps, if I'm
Right,
remembering.
where we made...
But you guys were already doing it for a while.
Yeah.
Were you not the first? I'm trying to give you your flowers here.
No, 100%. I mean, I'll take the credit, right? I mean,
Carlton was the first one.
Yeah, I mean, I was first.
We're
Listen,
stamping it.
I was also the oldest by a decade, but we don't talk about that. But when we did that class, that was more. We did a one-on-one thing. It was pretty formal, right? Or there was two of us, right? I think two people in the assignment, as I recall.
But I think that was like our second or third.
Definitely.
I don't even remember. It's been so long. I'm like, what were they called again?
Modules.
Yes.
Yeah. But no, we started, I think, as soon as we figured out what we could do.
Yeah.
And we came in here, and it would be funny because you could only have like 2 or 3 guys on at once.
Yeah.
So out in the hallway, people would just be sitting down against the wall, like on their notepads, like, what are we gonna do with this? And we even took it away from sports. I think Taylor and I did best 90s alt rock albums,
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, my dad is into this. And I was like, oh, I was in high school. I was just like, yeah, my dad too. My dad was listening to like the Beatles. Like, he was the same age as those guys.
Nothing makes you feel older than somebody hitting you with one of those moments.
Yeah. No,
That's why when you said cassettes, like me and AB know what cassettes are, but the kids now might not know what cassettes are.
Right.
I
seen the NFL players when they do the things like, oh, do you know what this is? And they're like, it's like a Walkman. They're like, no idea.
100%.
You said an iPod. You know, in one of our previous episodes, we were talking about Napster. I guarantee you, if you walk around campus now,
Oh man,
LimeWire, baby.
LimeWire. Yeah.
LimeWire. Was that the one that they were both like kind of off the board, right?
Yeah.
There were some
LimeWire
other
was-
ones.
Both were professional at crashing your computer.
Yeah.
You like
How to
illegally.
download a virus, basically.
LimeWire was where you get all the music, but then eventually you got the movies too.
Movies too. Yeah.
You are actually just committing or confessing to a crime.
Love LimeWire.
Yeah. Everyone's doing it, man. Everybody's doing it.
That's pretty sure it's called piracy.
Yeah.
Nah, I was too young.
Let's get back to your career. So, you know,
Please.
you want to, you know, radio was the thing that you wanted to get into. But as you go through SEM, does that dream change for you? And then post grad, where do you decide to go?
So I wanted to be talent. That's why I kind of came here. I always tell everyone I had the dream of being on SportsCenter. Thorne destroyed that dream kind of halfway through our module on live events. Yeah, well, it wasn't really Thorne, but I had to interview the coach and then like the player of the game for one of the games.
Okay. It was basketball, correct? Yes.
And the whoever was doing stats for athletics, she came up they were lining up the shot right after the game. And the gal doing stats gave me this piece of paper, and it had like 3 lines of like the player had broken this record. Now she's 5th all time in assists, and now she's 9th all time in rebounds. And tonight was her 75th triple double, which makes her. And like when we went live, I was just like, and then they were like, that was. And then so when we went the next week when we were in class, Thorne showed that to everybody. And I was like, I guess I'll do behind the scenes. So,
hey, I feel you, because that's how I was when I went up and they made me do like the on-camera stuff.
Yeah,
I had to read the prompt. I couldn't read the prompter.
Right. Oh, we can get.
I was like, I'm done.
Yeah, I do prompter now, and it's definitely an art, but we can get to that later. But I fell into doing camera. I like doing camera. I actually did do Sacred Heart games on AM radio.
Wow.
So the year after I finished, I met a guy who was an old ESPN radio guy, and he was trying to get back in, and he bought the license for, I think, 1600 in Stanford, which SHU owned, and we did the basketball. So I went up there, meet another guy, and it was an old, like, Comrex, you guys probably don't know what it is, like, plugs into an old phone line, and that's how we connected, and we did the games on AM radio.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, check bounced. Never got paid. So I did like the whole season for nothing.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was fun.
though.
Got the reps.
Got the reps.
Yeah.
Like I had a great time. I got to do it. I got to say that I did it. Like I called D1 basketball on the air.
Yeah.
You know, my mom and my uncle were the only 2 people listening, and my uncle played basketball at Bridgeport. You know, so he was all about it.
Yeah.
And so that was really cool. And then from there, it just kind of, you know, it's hard to describe. Like whatever things kind of, I put myself out there to be open to anything.
Yeah.
And things kind of just came along, and sometimes were better than others, right? Like I was working at Starbucks in the morning and doing gigs at night, you know, and living that kind of life. And then
that's a
you know,
grind.
I almost gave up on it, and I went back to corporate and did sales, and then I got laid off after, you know, I won an award and I got laid off, you know, and I was like, that's corporate America, right? You know, like here's your trophy, there's the door, you know. So then after that, I was like, I'm going full on freelance, and that's what I've been doing.
Wow. And how is the full-time freelance world? Because it is a very different world to the corporate world.
No, it's tough. There's pros and cons, right? Like I worked this week at a show, so long hours, you know, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You know, I came home yesterday, long hours, but then I've got a couple of days off, right? And you just like you kind of have to understand what you're gonna do and then plan. So I have a few different places that give me work, so I've got to keep a very tight calendar, right, and know like what's going on, right? And then with the budget, right? So like, hey, you know, really busy in September, like we're in the money, right? Scrooge McDuck, like, you know, diving through like the whole thing, right? But then like in January, it's like, hey man, you're gonna borrow $50, like, you know,
Right.
And because that happened, you know. So but that was a good lesson for me to learn, right? So every month, like I budget out whatever I'm, you know, my monthly kind of whatever, and I know what my work's gonna be. I know what'll get paid. I try to learn new skills, right? I got into this prompting thing that I didn't know. I never foreshadowed being a prompter
How
guy.
did that happen?
I met a woman a few years ago, and she had her own business. So she was a PA at MTV back in the day.
Okay.
Met a million people, saw a need, and then started her own company, and owns all of her gear, and Precise Prompting, by the way, and preciseprompting.com, and so she has a crew of people, and we go and do different shows, and so she'd asked me a bunch of times. I said no because at that time I went back into the corporate. I'm like, you know what, I'm doing sales, I'm making money, I never leave the house, but I didn't like being at home. I hated it. Everyone's like, work from home is the best. Worst.
Why did you hate it?
I just didn't like just being there. I felt trapped.
Okay.
Yeah. And I would go to the office and nobody else, it was optional. So I would go and nobody would be there. So I could be home alone or I go to the office alone. And then I go to the office, all the lights are motion censored. So then after a while I'd just be sitting in the dark. At least at home I had the lights on in my sweatpants.
You're in a lose-lose.
Yeah, no, totally. And the other guy... You
might as well go to Starbucks.
Yeah. Dude.
Back to Starbucks.
Yeah, right. Starbucks fit the need at that moment in time, right? So anyway, when the sales thing came to an end, I went back to her and I was like, hey, I'm looking for something to do. I've got, freelance stuff going on, but I need something else. And she was like, let's do this. So she trained me and we started doing small gigs, like little independent shoots, like a movie shoot or a TV show. And then it was like, hey, we're doing big events. And so it's grown, and it's such an eye-opening thing. Like we did the VMAs and just to see like how much goes into the organization of getting the right copy up in time, because when everything changes, like every couple minutes, like we were doing the pre-show, like the red carpet. So you never know who's what. Hey, it's Lenny Kravitz. Like, get the Lenny script. Like, get it ready. Like, I don't know. Well, he's standing there. Like, 3, 2, 1. And it's just like, oh, I'm here with Lenny Kravitz and Lenny. You're getting a Lifetime Award.
Yeah.
So you have to be on your feet. So I was with another guy, and we, both had, a setup so we could toggle between us and get it up. But it was crazy.
What was the most challenging part besides, obviously you talk about being nimble on your feet kind of.
Yeah.
Was there anything else that was kind of surprising or?
It's when you're on a show like that, it's just the change, right? It's just how quickly, like there was an instance where we had like 5 seconds to get it together, right? Or
what changed? Like where were you supposed to go and where did you end up?
It was something that was supposed to happen earlier, and then when we went through like here's the next like things for this block, this thing wasn't part of it.
Okay.
And then halfway through, while we were changing to meet that, then it was like change 3. We're changing A to B. But while we were doing B, it became C,
Yeah.
So you just, and it's, like I said, it's just something that I wouldn't have like seen how crazy you have to just be as far as speed and just be organized. And I was joking with the guys before, when you have a couple different hosts and then you kind of change around like each, like maybe a segment or an interview or an intro to like a package. And then if you change those people around, you've got to look at the tags, because then, so it becomes allow myself to introduce myself, right?
Yeah.
So it was like, hey, thanks, Aaron, or okay, thanks, Carlton. Send it to Carlton. Oh, wait.
Yes,
like we had to be. You have to be like even that far ahead, right? Like, okay, we're changing this package or we're changing this outro. Like, where is it going and who's it going to?
Yeah.
And what did we already move around before?
Yeah.
So now when we go there, it's not going to be like we went in a circle.
Yes.
People
don't
that's
realize
live.
Yes. I was going to say people don't realize the amount of change that goes into a live TV show while the live TV show is happening. So a lot of lessons there. I mean, what advice would you have for someone who wants to, get into freelancing and kind of start going on I want to choose where my career heads?
I would say it would be to learn everything that you can, and be someone who has a strong work ethic, right? I mean, and I had no ego right? When someone's like, hey, I need a prompter person. I was like, hey, all right. When we were in SCM, dude, that prompter collected dust.
Yes.
Like, you could write wash me on it with your finger.
No one wanted to do it. Yes.
Nobody wanted to go near it.
Yeah.
You know? And it was like a penance you served for being talent.
Yes.
Like, oh, you want to be on camera? You want to be talent?
so
Well,
true.
when Johnny's doing it next Thursday, then you got to scroll it for him.
Yep.
And you're
Yeah.
like, fine. Like, I got into nameless. I got into an argument with somebody about that with somebody in our class.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. And I was like, listen, this is no diva stuff. Like, if you want to be on camera, then you got to prompt. And if you don't want to prompt and be on camera, then I don't have anything for you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's like that saying always says that you should know how to do everything down to the janitor.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So
I'm sorry, by the way. I didn't mean to make us get into an argument at that time.
no, it wasn't you. You know that. But you know, just I work at another university, right? So I do camera and I do replay for them, right? And then for this other place, I do prompting, for shows that aren't even sports, right? But which is what I studied, but ultimately it doesn't matter. It's the same environment, right? Same principles.
Right.
And then when I'm here, I'll produce some of the football and the hockey, or hey, we need someone to just get a camera. The guy didn't show up or he's sick. Like, all right, no problem.
Yeah.
So just the fact that I'm kind of multi-talented in some of that, versatile.
Yeah.
Like ESPN is not, it's not gonna be like ESPN is like a call, like, hey Carlton, come in, and then Paramount's like, hey Carlton, it's not like that, right? But just like when you get into those environments with the big shows, there's different. There's a company within a company within a company, right? And then you get to meet people, and they're like, "Hey, can you do this?" I'm like, "Yeah, hey, can you do that?" And then it helps you kind of stay working, right? And there's like, pros and cons to some of that stuff, right? If you're on one track, you can, if I took one path for one item, then maybe I'd get to maybe the top of that, or maybe that's all I would do. But for me right now, I like doing a lot of different stuff. Because it keeps it new.
Definitely.
And it challenges me to be better at it, to where I feel more comfortable. Like when we were doing the VMA, I was a little nervous. Yeah, a little nervous there.
Fair enough. It's a pretty big deal.
It was big, but like I said, there was two of us, so because there was two of us, like I felt good, we'll do this, right?
Right.
But if I was on my own, I'd be like,
Oh, I know. Did you think you would be like, now you're an entrepreneur? Did you think, that you would kind of, when you started SEM?
I don't know. I guess I really didn't. When I might still have the thing in my wallet, or I might have thrown it out of resentment. There was, I think at one point, someone told us to write down like what we wanted to be.
Nah, if you pull this out right now.
This would be
I don't know.
The best.
I don't think I think I got rid of it.
Oh nope, there's a paper.
No, I got rid of it.
Okay.
It's my sister's phone number. just in case I lose my phone.
Gosh, fair enough.
Right?
That's smart.
You got the phone numbers memorized?
I know.
No, you don't.
3 people's phone number by heart.
Yeah. No, you know what? I probably got rid of it because of oh no, this isn't gonna be. Oh no, there's just so many papers in here. No. Anyway, so
It's like a sticky note. Do laundry.
Yeah. Pretty much. When you're a freelancer, man, you got to do that.
Right, yeah.
Because you come home and there's nothing there. So I think when I first came in here, I wanted to do play-by-play, or I wanted to be like a studio NASCAR guy or something, because I like NASCAR. Remember we were at NBC, right?
I remember, yeah.
And like I didn't say this, like I was logging NASCAR at NBC.
Yeah.
That was like one of the first things that I did when we got out. Or that was like while I was in the program, I got that.
Yeah, I remember I was logging Premier League.
You were doing
and then
soccer.
I would see, sometimes we'd pass each other, like, because soccer
Ships in the night, right? That's right. Yeah, man. So like that, like I wanted to do that, and then it just seemed like, if you think about something like that, there's one guy who does that.
Yeah.
Just one dude.
Yeah.
And like you have to be a little realistic, right? And so I'm in it and I do it and it's fine. And I found out, hey, I really love doing camera. So if I can do camera, I like that. But did I think, I would be where I am now? I mean, no, I guess I didn't, right? I didn't think I would be prompting, MTV Awards, right? Or doing, camera for
multiple universities.
Yeah, a couple universities, D1 sports, like ESPN Plus and all that, or doing hockey on SNY.
Yeah.
And so that's all cool. So it didn't, I kept, if a door closed, I just kind of kept going, and I kept myself afloat. And like I said, just no ego, right? Like I'll go to work at sweeping up a Starbucks, and then I came here and that's when I was teaching the undergrad live event.
Wow.
So we were doing the football games, like that was our class, right?
Yeah.
So my buddy used to call me Professor Barista, you know, because I would be like making your latte, and they're like, "Oh, what do you got tonight?" "Oh, I'm gonna go teach at a university." What are you gonna do tonight?
Yeah.
You know?
But see, now that's a great example because I think people are afraid to like get like when you need more money, are afraid to get like another job or like whatever. Like it's not. I just don't get why people think that way too. But like that's like
above it or something.
Yeah, as you said, ego.
Yeah, it's an ego thing.
Yeah. You want to be broke or like you want some money? Like, I don't know.
And
like,
you know, and like we joked before, like I was a little bit older, you know, than some of the guys in our class, and so I had a little bit of life experience, right? So I knew, okay, you know, it's not always what you think, right? And, or not how you planned, right? So you have to just be flexible. And maybe still keep a long-term goal, but still be like, hey, is it going to be like a different windy way for me to get there?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And you know, the Starbucks thing was fun. Like, you learn about yourself, man, dealing with people who want their coffee. Let me tell you. Because you got to deal with me when I want mine, right? And I know, so then the shoe was on the other foot, for sure, you know?
AB's a big coffee guy now.
He's making fun of me because I drank a cup of coffee and he's like, coffee at 2 p.m. Like, I'm like, okay, listen, I have a 1-month-old baby. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Only one cup?
I'm trying to use them sparingly, you know? Use them like nitrous oxide and Fast and the Furious. Like,
you know,
get up.
When I was working there, I went to the doctor and she was like, well, how much, you know, just like going through like the nutrition stuff.
Yeah.
And she was like, how much coffee you drinking? And I was like, I don't know, 7 or 8 cups. And she was
Work at Starbucks now.
Yeah, she was just like, what? And I was like, yeah, why? Like, is that bad? And so yeah, like that, like literally had to, like I had to dial it back because like that's when the nitro cold brew came out.
Oh wow, okay. Yeah.
And so
You're
that's
just hammering them down.
Yeah,
hammering them.
Yeah, and that's like the most like mainline caffeine thing you can get there. You know, because it's just like, you know, it just I don't know what the physiology of it is, but it's just like it's like shooting it up.
Yes,
so like I would go there and like have a couple of those things and I'd be flying, and then it would be like, and then I would crash. I would go home and pass out, and then I would like hit Starbucks and come here and teach, dude. I was out of my mind.
Oh man! All right, I gotta get to my fun question.
Professor, I'm sorry, Professor Barista is a hilarious nickname. Love it. Anyway, let's transition to Paul's. Paul calls the segment "Fun Shoe."
All right.
So
You like that?
Yeah.
You like that name?
Fun Shoe?
Yeah.
I like Fun Shoe.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
All right,
all right.
Yeah,
I was saying that we needed to workshop it all of season 1, but season 2 people seem to like
stuck.
it. So
I threw it on the wall. It's stuck.
Yeah. I mean, what are we gonna talk about?
What's your favorite building on campus? Besides this one, can't be this one.
Oh, it can't be this one.
No.
It's got to be down on West Campus there. I think it's building. I think it's the East building.
Yeah.
So I worked. One of my other 78 jobs I've had is I
They
worked.
have coffee there.
Yeah, they do downstairs. They do. Yeah, but they charge you for it. I mean, actually upstairs they have this little espresso machine for the employees. Anyway, so I worked here. I was a full-time employee here. I left Starbucks.
Okay.
And then I think I ended up here, and worked for the AV department.
okay.
So I worked here for 2 months and then COVID happened.
Wow.
And so I spent that whole like year, like we went home and then we came back and I spent the whole next like 8 months or whatever. We wired every classroom on campus with mics and cameras.
Wow.
That's all I did. Up in the ceiling, on a ladder, running cable. I actually liked it. It was great. But my favorite building is over there because I think it's up on the 3rd floor. They have Jack Welch's old conference room,
Oh yeah.
which is all still set up the way he had it.
Really?
Yeah, and it's like it's a real boardroom, right? Wow. It's got each table has like each sitting has a microphone, and it's super old school like GE boardroom. And then he had like 2 or 3 secretaries, so like you could get, it was like through the gauntlet. Like you get into one, if you got through like the first person, you're like, hey, I made it. But then there would be somebody else there, and you'd be like, oh, now, well, you want to get by me and talk to him, you know?
Yeah.
So like, so some of that stuff up there was preserved.
Okay.
So when I was doing all my AV stuff, we would still do some of the board meetings for the university up there.
Okay.
And then in the middle floor, which no one knows, is like the office furniture graveyard. So it used to be complete. The floor was empty, essentially, of any use, right? Mm-hmm. And it was where they stored all of this old office stuff. So it was just like so it was like the lights were off. And it was dark, and there was all this like stuff that dust on the, everything had dust on the wall. The chair. It was like a zombie movie where everybody left. So like that
creepy feeling.
Yeah, but we would kind of go in there and like source stuff. They're like, hey, I need a piece of particle board. It's like the size of a cube wall, and if we could really like, you know where that would be? So we get our flashlights out and we'd be like going in there and grab
like Ghostbusters.
Yeah, it would be. It's like half Poltergeist, half Ghostbusters. So half like The Walking Dead.
So anyway. That's hilarious. All right, last one. Who was your favorite professor at SHU?
It's got to be Thorne, and if I said it wasn't, we'd have a problem. Even though, listen, like coming back here was a redemption story for me, and so when I did my undergrad, I was not like a good student, right? I was kind of about like living the college life, I was an overnight guy, I wasn't a daytime guy, so not because I had a job, right? Let's be clear.
Not working at Starbucks.
No, I was not. Yeah, I wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't working at the UPS overnight facility, like for sure. So, so when I came to SHU, I really wanted to prove to myself that I could take academics seriously, and so my goal at that point was to get straight A's, and I got all A's except for 1 B+ in Thorne's class, which is still a point of contention between us.
He gave you a B+?
He gave me a B+. I think he was having a bad day, because there's no way, right? He was like, "Oh, that was the studio thing. You guys didn't have it." Like I was like, "What are you talking about?" Like I think it was something where, you have a group project and maybe some people don't hold their end,
fair
enough.
Yeah.
So I ended up with
love
B+.
The group project.
Yeah.
Gotta love them.
So I was a little salty about that, but I got over it. And we maintained a relationship and a friendship after that, and he helped me with connections and like one of the other universities. He called the guy there and he was like, "Hey, I just talked to so and so, and told him about you, so call him." And like I've been doing that since 2017.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
And then and even some other stuff like more recently, he's like, "Hey, like when things come up, he's like, hey, do you think about this?" Or when he's doing the games and he has to go for his personal stuff or go to do one of his other gigs, he's like, "Hey, can you cover me?"
Awesome.
So we have that kind of relationship now. So I have to say he was started as my professor, right? But then became
his Padawan.
Yeah. So now now he helps me out, but we have a great relationship, outside of like the B+. But.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome. I'll let you do that back in there. Yeah. Make sure you jab him one more time. Outside of that B+. Awesome. What a way to end this.
Yeah.
Carlton, we want to thank you for your time. Thank you for coming on the show. We appreciate it.
Appreciate you guys having me for sure.
Carlton.
Yeah.
That's awesome. This has been another episode of What You Doing. We'll see you all next time.